Remember when everyone said inflation was finally over? Yeah, not quite. Hey, this is Coinrad, and everything is about to get more expensive again. Not because of greedflation or corporate markups this time, but because the world's two biggest economies are at it again. China and the US are playing economic chicken, and when giants fight, the middle class gets crushed in the stampede. Here's what's actually happening. China just started limiting exports of rare earth metals, the stuff that makes electric cars move, phones work, and wind turbines spin. The US fired back, threatening new tariffs, some as high as 100%. And now every company that makes, ships, or assembles anything that uses those materials is panicking. When costs go up, they don't disappear, they trickle down. Straight into prices, rent, and monthly payments. Tariffs sound patriotic, but in practice, they're a tax you pay every time you buy something imported, which, by the way, is almost everything. So what happens next? Let's rank the possible outcomes from least to most likely. Number 3, the bluff. Both sides posture, markets wobble, and then they quietly step back before things break. That's the optimistic version. A little noise, maybe 1 or 2% higher prices. But it relies on political restraint, which, let's be honest, is about as rare as the metals we're fighting over. Number 2, the controlled burn. The US actually goes through with tariffs. China tightens exports more. Companies start hoarding materials just in case. Supply chains clog up, and before anyone even realizes, prices jump. Car makers can't get parts, appliance companies raise sticker prices, and suddenly that temporary trade tension costs families hundreds more a month. Inflation creeps back toward 4%, and the Fed keeps rates high to fight the monster it accidentally helped create. Number 1, the slow inflation loop. This is the most likely. No dramatic crash, no headlines screaming trade war, just a slow bleed. Month by month, everything quietly costs a little more. Groceries, gadgets, utilities, repairs. You'll hear companies say supply chain issues, politicians say protecting American jobs, and you'll just see your paycheck buying less. And the cruel part? When inflation sticks around, the cure hurts too. High interest rates mean expensive mortgages, higher car loans, heavier credit card debt. So whether prices rise or rates stay high, the middle class gets squeezed either way. The last time the US tried tariffs like this, the average household paid about $1,200 more per year. This round could be worse, because the world is even more connected, and China's grip on rare earth metals gives it real leverage. You can't just swap suppliers overnight when one country controls 90% of global refining. So here's the bigger picture. The US wants independence from China. China wants to remind everyone it still runs the world's supply chains. Both sides are acting tough. But the short-term reality is simple. Less cooperation equals higher costs. They'll call it strategy. You'll call it your grocery bill. Sure, maybe the US and China make a deal and tariffs calm down, but don't expect prices to magically drop. Once costs climb, they rarely roll back. At best, inflation slows down. At worst, it just hides under a new name. The real danger isn't another headline-grabbing trade war. It's slow, invisible inflation, the kind that eats into savings and makes every paycheck feel smaller. It's a policy-driven cost of living squeeze disguised as foreign policy. But here's the hopeful part. Once you see how this game works, you can stop falling for the same story. You'll know that tariff really means price hike, and that standing up to China usually means buckle up, shoppers. Awareness doesn't fix prices, but it helps you navigate the storm instead of getting blindsided by it. Because this time, inflation isn't coming from nowhere. It's being built piece by piece in boardrooms and ministries, and it's hitting the same people who can least afford it. So if it feels like life's getting more expensive again, that's because it is. And unless someone breaks this loop, every round of economic brinkmanship will end the same way, with ordinary people paying for someone else's power play. This is Coinrad. Hit subscribe and stick around for more stories about money, markets, and the madness they create.